Hi, welcome to another two-parter for 3 Beer Thursday. And if you hadn't guessed by the intro sequence, it's going to be with West Coast Brewing. And some of you are probably thinking, well, hang on a minute, didn't you do one a few weeks back? Yeah, we did, but that was kind of a rough and ready, rough shod around the edges kind of mobile phone job up in Prodigy. And I thought that, it deserves a bit better. So picked up some more beers. Actually picked up quite a few beers, actually more than 6, I think got 8, maybe 10, I have to double check. So I've tried to limit it down to these 6. You never know, there might be some bonus footage at the end, perhaps a third part, see how it all goes. But for those people that don't know about West Coast Brewing, they're based down in Shizuoka. They've been brewing, I think now since I want to say the end of 2018. And they predominantly brew IPAs, more of the hazy kind of high hop beers, I guess. They have done a couple of non-IPA beers. We've got one of them here, actually, got a couple of them here actually. They're a Pilsner and a kettle sour, I want to say, a dry hopped sour beer. So it's good to see them expanding out into different styles of beers. There's one brewery I know of that won't be named that kind of stick to hazes, and while they are popular, it is nice to see breweries trying to go to different styles as well. I'm gonna leave this kind of random. Normally I'd say I'm gonna do these 3 first and then these 3, but like I said, we've got a couple of special edition ones and a couple of regular ones, so to speak. So I'm probably gonna have these 3 in the first video at some order, and then follow up with kind of some special edition ones. But let's see how it goes. Moving on to the first beer, shall we? So for this one, we've got West Coast Brewing, the Prodigy, and straight away I like this beer because it's got the name of one of my favourite bands, Prodigy. It is a 6.5% juicy IPA, but the trouble is, on the side of the can, I know I'm probably checking this up, there's no information about it, right? But luckily, the link to review below is telling me that it's got Citra, Euconaut, and Mosaic hops. Now, even though it has got the great name, The Prodigy, it's not named after the band, which is kind of understandable really, because obviously licensing issues, but it's actually named after, it's going to sound quite quirky, the supposed battle that it faces with the West Coast Nemesis, which is an imperial stout that I've got in my fridge downstairs, and maybe, if you're lucky, I might crack one out. But as you can see, I'm going to pour this into my nice little IPA glass. It is straight away a very hazy golden straw colour with a very plump white head on top. It's probably going to fit in the glass. Just fits. These are half-litre cans, and they do cost a little bit more than other kind of domestic hazies, but it's a half-litre can, which, considering most of the imports we get into Japan, are $4.40. But yeah, as you can see, it fits into the glass nicely, kind of a hazy golden straw colour, and it just reeks of fruit. It reeks of peaches and mango and grapefruit and lemon. So I just take some of that off just to get my nose in there. But yeah, it's juicy. It's one of those words that's kind of weird. I don't like using it. It's kind of like the word moist, but yeah, that's full of tropical fruits. It is a little bit, it's definitely sweet, creamy, but yeah, that's really nice, especially today, a very hot day. Full of, there's definitely something there lingering in the palate. It's a very sticky flavour to it. It's full-bodied, given that, and you can't really taste the alcohol at all. Sometimes with some beers that are hazy or juicy, should we say, they do pack a punch with alcohol, but very smooth, very well-rounded, and it's going to be hard because, it's a hot day and this is perfect for that. So this part of the 3 Beer Thursday for West Coast Brewing. I'm looking at the full Hop Alchemist. This is version 8. Obviously they've done 7 different versions before, and as you can see, it comes up as a hazy double IPA with an ABV of 8%. The hops change from beer to beer, so it's kind of hard to know what hops have gone in this one. They don't really tend to list on their site, but I have put the hop list below here that I've managed to find while making this video. As you can see, it has got the hop dude on the front, this time dressed up as a wizard. Unfortunately, I did have an IPA glass from Spiegelau. It broke. My daughter broke it. She basically knocked it over, and yeah, there was a beer inside, all over the floor. So I'm using this one. I know it's probably not the correct glass to use, I'm sorry, but as you can see straight away, this does pour out a very hazy, dark golden colour with a nice plump white head on top, and the smell, I mean, I can smell it from here. This is for you guys on watching it, but as you can see, it is a hazy golden colour. It looks a bit darker on the screen, I know, but the smell just reeks of dankness and pine and resiny, with some like sweet notes coming on, a bit of lemon, bit of orange. It's oh yeah, it smells like a proper dank IPA. And I've been wanting one for a while. If you follow us on Twitter, I think I put messages up saying I really want a dank IPA, and that it's actually just, yeah, it's a slight, I'd say it's a very classic dank lemony IPA going on there. It's very tasty, very woody, grapes, bit of orange, bit of grapefruit. I mean, the alcohol, it's 8%, and you do get a good hit straight away. This has warmed up a little bit, it's not ice cold. Yeah, that's gonna knock you for 6. Woo! I mean, some beers hide the alcohol. This doesn't. This isn't ashamed of the alcohol. This is gonna go boom, straight for you, straight for the jugular. I can feel it straight away, like woo, woo. There's a lingering pineness on the palate. It's tasty, but yeah, slight passion fruit, peach. Very creamy with some oats in there, I guess. It's no lactose, which is good. I'm enjoying that. That's better than the 7, I think. Better than the 7. Cheers. Here we have the West Coast Brewing Starwatcher West Coast IPA. As you can see, it's a 6.5% West Coast IPA, but like other beers from West Coast, there's no information on the side about hops or anything. I can tell you it contains Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe in there. It is part of their regular series, which is great because I think the full Hop Alchemist is always changing, which is kind of like, okay, just pick one and choose it, guys. It's great. But this one, at least we always know what's in it. Pouring it out, unlike any of their hazes, it is actually quite clear. It's a bit light for a West Coast. I tend to think West Coast a bit darker. It's a light golden straw colour. Is it gonna fit? Just. But it's got a slight haze to it. Probably because it's a bit cold still. I'll just take a sip. Just to get some of the nose off. If I get my nose in there, very citrusy, woody, melony. It does smell like a West Coast. You know, it's got a slight resiny nose to it as well. It's a bit more fruitier than a usual West Coast IPA. It's bitter, not in a bad way. You know, usually my face screws up when I drink something bitter, but It's got a bitterness to it that a few of their other beers don't have, which is good. You know, if it's the West Coast, you want a bit of a bitterness in there. Very dry, very crisp. It's I after drinking, you know, a juicy beer, it does seem a bit flat, but that's not a bad thing because this is not supposed to be a full-on juicy, flavorful beer. But it is far more abrasive in your face. Let me explain that. You know, when you have, say, for the West Coast, the Prodigy, it's a very fruity beer. It's a very soft, very smooth beer. This isn't soft. It isn't gonna say, oh look, you know, here's some tropical fruits for you. No, this is a bit more the kind of old school. I won't say old school, but definitely the IPAs that I started drinking back in the day. It's a bit more, like I said, woody. I think after having the Prodigy, you do notice more of those resinous flavors, which is great. You know, that's my kind of IPA. It does have a lingering stickiness to it, but that fades quite fades fast. That stickiness starts from the beginning, goes through. There is a slight booziness to it, which is kind of funny because it's only 6.5%, but there is a slight booziness to it. But yeah, seems like a solid West Coast IPA from West Coast Brewing. So let's round up these 3 beers I had for this part of the West Coast Brewing 3 Beer Thursday. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one because while they are all IPAs, they are all sub-styles of IPA. Over the last decade or so, we've had many different styles of IPA come out, and it's not really fair, I guess, to compare, say, for example, a West Coast IPA to a hazy New England IPA to a double IPA. So that being said, it's going to just be my most favourite to my third most favourite, because I did enjoy all 3 of them, which is something I don't really often say. I think, thinking about what I've had in the past and the IPAs that I had, and I don't want to say grew up on, because I'm being British, the IPAs I grew up on were more malty and based in Fuggles, which is not a nice hop. It's more my personal preference, and I hate to say this because some of the first IPAs I had were West Coast, but for me, in third favourite, it's got to be the Starwatcher. It's not because it's a bad beer. It's not because it doesn't meet the style. It does. It's a good beer, it meets the style. But I think for me, West Coast IPAs, I want more now, I guess. That makes sense. And if you're going to use hops, I want more flavours. I want more citrusy. I want more piney. I want more resiny, and I want them to linger. And while I did have flavours, it didn't really linger enough for me. I felt myself drinking for the next sip to get more of the flavours. For me, second place, I'm gonna say Full Hop Alchemist. There's a reason for this. It's because I know I'm not gonna get this beer again. And West Coast Brewing, that annoys me. That annoys me that, you know, the different versions coming out. You want to try new hops, which is great, but just come on, just keep a version once in a while. You know, that's a good version. That hits all the spots that I want. So it's second because of that. You know, if that was a regular release, that would definitely be a decent, solid beer to have. But I know, probably by the time this video comes out, West Coast Brewing will be like version 11, version 12 of this beer, which is a shame. It really is a shame, because that is a solid beer, and I don't want to sound elitist or like I'm chasing the next beer, but it just kind of sucks that, you know, I've got to try and find another one. So that's why it's second place. So first, not because of the name, but because of just the plethora of flavours going on, is the Prodigy. It was it's like a tropical mix of flavours going on. There was so much going on there that it was savoured slowly, which sounds kind of weird for, an IPA on a hot day. It is hot, and you want a nice cold, refreshing beer. But there was so much going on in the Prodigy with the pineapple, the mango, the lemon, the grapefruit, that I wanted to sit and savour it. And as it warmed up, those flavours lingered. They stayed on the palate, and it's like, oh, this is like a tropical fruit mix going on. So for me, 1, 2, 3. I'd happily drink all 3 of these again. Don't get me wrong, but definitely 1, 2, 3 for this part of the 3 Beer Thursday from West Coast Brewing. Join us next week, where we have 3 more beers from West Coast Brewing and a final roundup for all 6 beers. Keep your beer cold, keep your craft, keep it local. Cheers.